Good afternoon, everyone. Today's class, I would like to revise once again for Term 1 examination. I would like to start from the history section, the rise of nationalism in Europe. So, before going to discuss about revision, so I would like to tell you the question paper pattern. Then, even so, you are going to get today or tomorrow the pattern and the portion also. So, dear students, so for term one examination, from history, first chapter, the rise of nationalism in Europe, and uh, from geography section, resource and development, resource and development. That is also the first chapter. And from political science division, power sharing, first chapter. And from economics section, first chapter, development. So these four chapters will come for first term online examination. And now I would like to tell about the pattern of the paper also. Just you can note down or keep it in your mind. You are going to get a message also about the uh, pattern. So actually we are going to follow the same board pattern. Then compared to last year, this academic year a bit changes is there in the examination pattern. So there are totally 16 MCQs. So 16 MCQs, okay, which carries each carries one mark. See, these MCQs means so I don't think all those 16 questions may have the four options. Not like that. It may in a different way also. Like it may in the fill in the blanks and even arrangement also. Okay, like that only. Then afterwards, so the short answer time. Short answer type questions. So there are six, and each carries 3 marks and total 18 marks. Okay. And afterwards, source based questions. So there are four, and each carries 4 marks and total 16 marks. See here, this is this time. So the new come thing. So before actually last year it was there, but only one question from source based question. But now this time, so there are four questions from this section. And afterward, long answer side questions. So which carries actually there are six questions and then 5 marks. So totally 10. So please keep in your mind. Actually, here bit changes is there. They don't get confusion because now this time, so there is no map question. But usually in board exam there will be the map question also, which is going to carry a 5 marks map question, which is including geography and history section. So together 5 marks. But now this time there is no map question, so that's what here instead of 5 questions, so there are 6 questions are there. Then each question carry 5 marks and total marks 30. So this is what the exam pattern. But here only one. So this time left map, and the next time it will be there. So that's what here one extra question is there. So this is actually the board pattern for academic year 2020 and 21. Is it clear? Now let us start to discuss about the for especially revision for term 1 examination. Okay. So dear students, I told that I would like to start from history. So the history first chapter. the rise of nationalism in Europe. Look here, dear students, this is very much important and even some of the ideas because this lesson is very close to connect with the previous year 9th standard first lesson also to the French Revolution also. See, here actually the lesson it is going to be started with the one of the painting which was actually painted by the French artist Frederic Sorio in 1848. Okay, so what was actually depicted in this paint? So completely that is about based on so the democratic and social republic ideas. Understood now? So the paint actually, and then another one important thing. So whatever it was painted, it is actually the utopian vision of the artist. About it is actually the dream of the worldwide democratic and social republics, which was actually painted by Frederick Soria, isn't it? So what is the meaning of utopian? Utopian means a vision of a society that is so ideal that it unlikely to actually exist or actually we cannot. It is like what we call imaginary one. Understood now? So it is actually exactly we cannot, but this is what the dream of the Frederick Sorio, which was actually focus on the democratic and social republic, where all those the maximum the European powers together it was painted. And also, dear students, so here we need to be concentrate about the differentiate between the modern state and the nation state also. Modern state and the nation state. So this is what actually the introduction part to this lesson. Okay. Then the first topic that is going to be covered with the French Revolution and the idea of the nation. So the French Revolution and the idea of the nation. So we know that we studied last year already about the French Revolution. So here, from the very beginning, French revolutionaries, so they were introduced various measures and even the practices that could create a sense of collective identity amongst the French people. So it is very much important because so they were introduced the revolutionaries. So they were introduced some of the different measures and practices so that could create a sense of collective identity amongst French people, especially the idea of law patrie, the idea of law patrie that means the fatherland. Law patrie means what? The father is actually the French word, la patrie. And also, dear students, les citoyens. That means les citoyens. That means the citizen. Citoyen means the citizen. See, these are the different the measures and then the practices which were introduced by the revolutionaries during the French Revolution. Understood now. Then afterwards, dear students, the next very much important thing that so they were actually introduced a new French flag also. New French flag that was actually the tricolor flag. Understood now? So why they were introduced the new French tricolor flag? Actually, to replace the former royal standard. To replace the former royal standard, so they were introduced the new French tricolor flag also, dear students. Then afterwards, so the estate general, which was actually the elected assembly or the body or the parliament during the time. So the estate general, it was actually elected by the active citizens. Already we know that. So to whom we used to call as an active citizen, and then to whom we used to call as the passive citizen during the French Revolution. See, the estate general, it was renamed as the National Assembly. So what happened now? The estate general was renamed as the National Assembly. Okay, so the Estate General, it was renamed as a National Assembly. Then afterwards, so here there are so many scholars and revolutionists. So they were composed so many inks also, and votes also taken and martyrs commemorated, all in the name of the nation, all in the name of the nation. Then afterwards, a centralized administrative system also put in place, and it formulated uniform law for all citizens within its territory also. Then also, dear students, the internal customs, duties, understood no. So and even the different dues. So everything. So they were all abolished, and a uniform system of weight and measure was adopted in that completely. And another one important thing, the regional dialects were discouraged, and French, so it was actually the spoken and written language in Paris city, and this French language, it was actually considered as the national language or common language of the nation. Understood now? So these are all actually the different various measures and practices, so which were introduced by the revolutionaries. So especially to create a sense of collective identity amongst French people. I hope, dear students, so you all have understood about this very clearly. Okay, then afterwards, the another one important thing, that is about when the Napoleon Bonaparte, after the directory rules in the France, when it was collapsed. Okay, so afterwards, the Napoleon Bonaparte, so he was declared himself as the king of France. Okay, so when he came to power, so he was brought a lot of changes in his administration, and even he brought so many administrative changes and then social reforms and so on and so forth. See, and this actually we are going to study through his code, which was well known as the Civil Code of 1804. Getting now the Civil Code of. See, this Civil Code of 1804, it was also called as Napoleonic Code. It was also called as Napoleonic Code. See, here actually Napoleon Bonaparte, so through this civil code of 1804, so he was brought a lot of changes in administration. Especially according to this, please keep in your mind some of the important thing I would like to tell now. See, this civil code of 1804 did away all the privileges based on birth. So established equality before the law. Are you getting now? So the first thing that, so that is about, so the Napoleonic Code did away all the privileges which are specially based on birth. So it was removed that, and also established equality before the law. And even it was secured through this code right to property also. And this code was exported to the regions under French control, even in the Dutch Republic also, in Switzerland, in Italy and in Germany. So Napoleon simplified administrative divisions and he was abolished the feudal system and freed the peasants from the serfdom and manorial dues. But unfortunately, he was reintroduced the slave system once again in France. See, in the towns also, the guild restrictions were removed and transport and communication systems were improved and peasants, artisans and even workers and the new business class people. So they were all actually enjoyed this new found freedom and all. And the another important thing, so actually it was introduced the standardized the weights and measure system also and common national currency and also so he was extended all these the changes throughout his territory. So this is all about the significance of the Civil Code of 1804, which was called as the Napoleonic Code. Then afterwards, all of you knows that again, actually the others, the European, they were believed like that he was actually the harbinger of the modernity and then liberties and so on, so things. But when the Napoleon Bonaparte, when he was completely involved in extending territory and all, then afterwards again, so the European powers defeated in the Battle of Waterloo. Okay, and after that, dear students, the next important thing that is about the especially the new middle class people they were emerged in this time, the new middle class people. See, this new middle class elite people, especially the workers and also the professors, teachers and then the business class people, all these elite class people, so they were emerged as a including the professionals. Okay, so as the new middle class people during this time. And here, the another one important thing we should know that the concept of liberal nationalism. So it was actually stand for in a different time in a different, especially according political and even the economic sphere. So it was stood in a different way. So some of what they required like that only. So, for example, actually, liber, it was actually the Latin word that means free. Okay, so liber means that is a free. So here, freedom. So what kind of a freedom? So one thing that so during this time, the liberalism stood for freedom for the individual and equality of all before the law. So when it was actually during early 19th century Europe. So in early 19th century Europe, the liberalism it was stood for freedom for the individual and equality of all before the law. Understood now. Then afterwards, so even it is about the universal suffrage also. Those who are fought for the equal political rights and right to vote also. And in the economic sphere, it was so different. So in the economic sphere, the liberalism stood for the freedom of markets and the abolition of state imposed restrictions on the movement of goods and capital. In the economic sphere it was very different. Understood now. So then after these students we studied that the measurement and weight, so it was too very different in a different part of the European countries. Then afterwards in 1834, so the Julian association or union, customs union, the organization also formed at the initiative of Prussia and joined by most of the German states. Then after that, so once again there we can see a new conservatism after 1850. After 1850, so when the Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated by the European powers, so again once again the conservatives, so they hold the political powers and all, especially the European powers after the Battle of Waterloo. So, in 1815, the representatives of the European powers, especially Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria. See, actually, these all states, Britain, Prussia, Russia, and Austria. So, these together they were collectively defeated the Napoleon. So these powers, so they were met at Vienna in 1850, and this was well known as the 1815 Vienna Congress or the Vienna Congress of 1850. So where they were met now at Vienna. So for what purpose? So to draw a settlement for Europe after the Napoleon. See, the Congress it was hosted by actually the Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich. So, under the leadership of Duke Metternich, who was the Chancellor of Austria, so the Vienna Congress it was hosted, and even so, it is drew up the Treaty of Vienna of 1815 also. So, according to that, the rest of the France, I mean, whatever the territories were expanded or included by the Napoleon Bonaparte. So once again in those so returned and even so they were planned surround the France. Even in future day also the France could not so go through the war like that. So they were arranged. So please you go through that. It is one of the important topic that is about the Treaty of Vienna of 1850. So that we knows that what happened. So once again, what happened? So the conservatives, so they were came back to power. Okay, after the Battle of Waterloo. Then here one of the important the revolutionary activist was called as a Joseph Mazzini. Okay, so was born in 1804 in Genova. Sorry, in 1807 in Genova. So he was one of the most the powerful revolutionary activist. So he was became the member of secret society which was called as the Carbonari in the beginning, and in the age of 24 he was sent into exile also because so he was attempted in 1831 the revolutionary activities in Liguria, and afterwards so he was subsequently founded two more secret societies or underground societies. One was called as a Young Italy, and then another one so Young Europe. So the Young Italy and the Young Europe. So these two were secret societies. So which were actually founded by Joseph Mazzini. So here his ideas and all was spread throughout the European countries, even Poland, France, Italy, and German state also. And Mazzini was believed that God had intended nations to be the natural units of mankind. So, Italy could not continue to be a patchwork of small states and kingdoms. So, according to Joseph Mazzini, it should be a nation. Okay, and it had to be forged into a single unified republican within a wider alliance of nations. So, this unification alone could be the basis of Italian liberty. Okay, and following his model, secret societies were set up in Germany, France, Switzerland, and even the Poland also. See, Mazzini's relentless opposition to monarchy and his vision of democratic republics so frightened the conservatives, especially Duke Metternich, who was the chancellor of the Austria. So he was described Joseph Mazzini as the most dangerous enemy of our social order. So please keep it in your mind. So Duke Metternich, so he was described Joseph Mazzini as the most dangerous enemy of our social order. So then you can imagine how the conservatives, so they were frightened about Joseph Mazzini. The next class we are going to discuss about the other. So please concentrate on each and every topic and go through that. Thank you. Have a nice day.